generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
So we have to discuss whether we think that's a good response to what's seen as her changing on some specific positions. It definitely, like, coming out of one of the reasons that we wanted to have like an extended bit of that is anyone watching that's listened to Donald Trump, it's such a different brain. It's such a different way of communicating. I'm not even saying that she sold that the best that any politician could or whatever, but she's capable of rational thought. She's capable of staying on a subject. She didn't sound insane or conspiratorial. And in addressing the question, she also lauded a lot of what the administration has done.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
And I want to give you, before we comment, just a little bit more of that, because one of the concerns I think a lot of people had of Joe Biden as a candidate is that he's not going to be a good enough messenger for what they've done. That they have some stuff to run on, but he's not the guy to run on it. Well, here she is trying to sell some of the economic policy.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
Now, when I just imagine, Brett, like Joe Biden trying to make those points, it would be 3 minutes long. He'd gaze off in the distance and say, "Look, here's the deal." Like, it would just, like, she's going to do a better job of concisely selling what they've accomplished. But what do you make of all of what she had to say about policy there?
For policy, I mean, it is nice to hear someone say what they've done and actually made happen. Like, Donald Trump will never do that. Joe Biden tried, but he never really he was never given the opportunity, never took the opportunity to sit down face to face and do these kinds of things. It reveals that, I mean, for me, there's always that discussion you have about the optics. How does it look? How does she look talking about this stuff? I would say she looks down at a table too much, like she's referencing notes that she had when she was studying. And later in the interview, she starts to make more eye contact with Dana. And that's when it really gets good. That's when she launches in. So if I was her coach, I'd say to do that. I'd also say her messaging on my values have not changed. I think that's too negative a message. I think they need to say my values have stayed the same. I have the same values now as I had day one, and will have day one of the presidency, and will have on my last day of the presidency 8 years from now. And that's what you can rely on me. And you know what? When I change my positions, it's because I get new information, but the values guiding those are still the same and steadfast. And my number one value is making the lives of everyday Americans better than they were yesterday.
I think, yeah, that may seem like a small thing, but I do think that's a good tweak. And I would do that. And I think, look, I think it's a good way to address, well, like she's talked previously about like banning fracking, for instance, and now she doesn't want to do that. And I would prefer that she would want to, because I think fracking is absolutely devastating. I understand why politically she might no longer be pushing for that. Saying that the overall goals I'm pursuing are the same, some of the ways that we get there might be different, I think it's not a bad way to address that, but I agree. I would make it a more positive framing on the same thing. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.